Hello, I'm Veronica and I'm 21 years old. I only just started going to college and I have some free time on my hands, so I figured I wanted to share my story with whoever is willing to listen to me. The reason that I only just started going to college was because I had very crappy parents and an amazing grandmother. Okay, that sounds insane. Let me start from the beginning. I was the last child that was born to my parents, Cheryl and Cliff. My parents had 3 other kids before me, and I was supposed to be the last one they had. Now, they were in no way super well off, or even well off enough to support 4 kids and 2 adults. They still decided to have so many kids. What they weren't ready for at all was that I was born with a birth defect. I was born a healthy baby, or so they thought. After about 6 months, they began to notice how I was barely breathing on most days and that I was constantly sick. They tried their best to get me to get better, but nothing they did helped. Eventually, they took me to the doctor, where I got diagnosed with an acute form of congenital heart defect. Honestly, I don't even know how the doctors missed that at the time of my birth, but really, I'm just grateful that I got to live past that. My parents, however, were very unhappy with the diagnosis. They went to tell my grandma, Rhea, about it as soon as they got the results about my tests. "Oh, hi guys, what brings you here today?" "Well, we need to tell you something important." "Oh no, is it bad?" "You know what? Why don't you come in? I have some freshly brewed hot coffee here." "That would be lovely, Mom." "So, what's going on?" "So, you know how Veronica has been sick for a really long time?" "Yes, I've been begging both of you to take her to the doctor." "Well, we did when it got really bad. She was barely breathing and had put on barely any weight in the last few months." "Oh no, what did the doctor say?" "They ran a lot of tests on her and they diagnosed her with CHD, or congenital heart defect." "Oh my, that sounds really serious. Will she be okay?" "Thankfully, yes, she'll be able to live because she has an acute form of the defect." "If it's a heart thing, why didn't the doctor catch it at the time of birth?" "Apparently the doctor heard nothing wrong at the time of birth, so it must have developed later on for her." "So what's the treatment like?" "It's going to be a lot of medication because she's still too young for surgery, and not to mention we don't have that kind of money for surgery right now." "I understand. If you need any help whatsoever with her, you can ask me." "Thanks a lot, Rhea." "Oh, come on, what's a grandmother for?" According to my grandmother, who, by the way, is the reason I know all of this to begin with, my parents seemed relieved that they had someone to count on if they needed help. My grandmother had been trying to keep her space from them before me because she was very disapproving of them having kids they could not afford. But she saw that I needed help and she decided that it was time to step in and help me out. So for the next 2 months, Grandma took care of all my medical expenses. My parents only had to look after me, but they apparently couldn't even do that much. I was barely kept alive in their house. Both of them worked so much that I had no one to actually look after me. The responsibility of taking care of me fell on my older siblings, who began to grow resentful of me because I was stealing their free time from them. That's not really something I can hold against them too. I mean, I would have felt the same way too if I was in their position. Anyway, my parents decided that taking care of me was creating too much chaos back at home. They wanted nothing to do with me and tried their best to hand me off to any family member who would take a sick baby. Of course, they didn't really have that many family members to hand me off to. My mom's parents passed away a few years before I was born, and her sister lived in Germany, where she was strictly against having any kids whatsoever. My dad only had his mom, my grandma, as he was an only child whose father died when he was 20. So, with no one else to turn to, they showed up at my grandma's place one cold winter morning and dropped me off there. My grandma opened the door to my mom standing there and my dad waiting in the car on the road. That was the first time my grandma actually saw me. Hello. Oh my, look who's here. Hi, Veronica. Hi. Cliff and I need a break from this. This? You mean Veronica? Yeah. You don't understand how exhausting it is to take care of her when she's so chronically ill. Well, yes. She has a genetic defect. Of course it's going to be hard, but as parents you have no other choice but to take care of her. Sure, but that would have been easy if she was our only child. You have no idea the amount of fights that break out at home because my other 3 children feel like they aren't being given the same amount of attention as Veronica. Cheryl, that just seems like bad parenting on yours and Cliff's part. You should be teaching the rest of your children about empathy and kindness. And you two need to make separate time for them whenever you can. Taking a break from Veronica is not going to solve all your issues. Look, I get what you're saying, but I'm so physically and mentally burnt out that I want nothing to do with this child. I only came here because you are our children's last living grandparent. If you want to take her, you take her, or else just give her up to Child Protective Services. What are you talking about? You can't do this to your own child. If you think I'm a terrible mother, why don't you try taking care of this thing for a while, and then you'll understand where I'm coming from. She's such a burden to take care of. She's only a child. You barely gave her 2 months since the diagnosis. You can't abandon her like this. Veronica will ruin everything in the future as well. I can just see myself and Cliff taking care of her even when we're your age. That is not a life I want to live. Cheryl, when she's old enough, she can get surgery and she'll be fine. You won't be taking care of her forever. Oh, yeah? Then who's going to pay for the surgery? We have 5 mouths to feed right now, excluding Veronica. You think money is just rolling into our house? Nobody asked you guys to have more kids than you can provide for. I told you I could pay for the surgery when she's older. Since you're already planning on paying for her surgery, why don't you just keep her and raise her? That's not... Cliff's waiting for me in the car. I will never speak to either of you again. Mark my words. We'll deal with it. My grandmother was beyond shocked at the way my parents just abandoned me immediately. They refused to take care of a child that they produced, all because they believed that the child would be too much of a burden. Did they not realize what they signed up for the second they got pregnant? Having a child meant, as a parent, you had to be prepared for everything that was going to get thrown your way, even if that meant genetic defects or disabilities. My grandma struggled with taking care of me because she was already pretty old to be raising another child, and she also had to do it all alone. If there's one thing, she was very adamant about keeping me with her. She refused to let me get into the system because she knew what the system tended to do to kids. She wanted me to grow up as well as I could. For the next 10 years, my grandmother essentially became a mother figure to me. Although Grandma was very insistent that I called her Grandma because she wanted it that way, as per her, my parents never contacted her after they dropped me off, and as far as she was concerned, they never spoke to her after that. A few months after my 10th birthday, my grandma told me that she had some news for me. I have some news, sweetie. Yes, Grandma? So I was looking into your heart condition, and after speaking with a few doctors, I've realized that now is the right time for you to get your surgery. Really? You can get your heart fixed, and then you can live a long, healthy life. And then Mom and Dad will come and get me back? I don't know about that, sweetheart. Why do you want them back so badly? Am I not caring enough? Am I doing something wrong that you don't like? No, it's just that all the other kids at school have their parents, and I just wanted to see mine. I barely even remember them. I know, sweetie. But if it's any consolation, I'll be here no matter what. I will tell your parents about your surgery. If they show up, that's great. But if they don't, I don't want you to be too disappointed. I'll try. Just remember that you'll have a brand new heart after the surgery. You'll be able to live without taking all those medicines. Doesn't that sound really good? Oh, yes, Grandma. I hate taking all those medicines. They make me feel so tired. I know. And after the surgery, you won't have to do all that. You can go play outside without worrying about anything. Yay! But you promise you'll be there after the surgery, right? You won't leave me like how Mom and Dad left me. Whoa, I promise I won't. How could I ever let my precious sweetheart go like that? What if Mom and Dad try to take me back and they don't let me see you? I promise that I will fight for you. I will make sure that I sneak into your bedroom and give you all your favorite candies and toys. You're the best, Grandma. I know I am. I remember feeling very nervous for the surgery, but I knew that it would make a world of difference for me. Every night I spent a lot of time just trying to force myself to take the medicines I needed to take because I hated the texture of tablets, and Grandma had to sit with me and gradually make me swallow each one of them. The surgery happened a month after that conversation, and it was a huge success. I took a good 6 months to fully recover, and when I did, I was doing better than ever. I was back to living my life as best I could. All the things that I was not able to do before, I had a fun time doing once I had fully recovered. It was even more enjoyable for Grandma because she got to see me happier than I ever was. She was glad that she was able to make my life a lot better than what it was. She, of course, did try to reach out to my parents multiple times before, during and after my surgery, but they never responded. Probably because they must have blocked her. Anyways, eventually my life began to come together. I was done with middle and then high school. I was working a part-time job at the local cafe, and I was doing better than I would have if I was in my parents' care. And it was one day after I returned home from work that I walked into the house only to see my grandma collapsed on the floor. I panicked and called 911 immediately. I tried to give her CPR, but it did not seem to work. Thankfully, the ambulance got to Grandma fast and she was taken into the ER. Once there, I was told that she had a heart attack. Before I could even react, I was guided to complete some paperwork, and when I finally returned to the room, Grandma was waking up. Oh my God, what happened? Where am I? Grandma! Oh, thank God you're awake. Well, yes, but what even happened? You had a heart attack. Thankfully, it wasn't too serious. I had a heart attack? Yeah, the doctor said that it was brought on due to your age and your diet. So there's going to be some real heavy restrictions on what you eat, and you're going to have to start exercising every day now. Oh, hell, I don't care about all that. I know, but you're all that I have left. You can't leave me right now. Oh, sweetie, you're right. I haven't even asked you how you're doing. I'm okay. I was really scared, though. If I didn't come back home in time... Shh, don't think about the what-ifs. Everything worked out fine, and I promise you that I'll take better care of myself right now. I'm way too young to leave you. That's true. Although this has made me think about redoing my will. Don't speak like you'll pass away any minute now. No, it's just... all of this was so sudden. Who knows what will happen even tomorrow? I didn't wake up this morning anticipating a heart attack. I just want you to be well taken care of after I go, too. You're right. So what are you going to do about your will? As soon as I get out of here, I'll contact my lawyer and have him revise everything. At first, everything was going to go to your father, but now I don't think so. You'll get everything. Me? Why me? I didn't do anything much. Sure, but I raised you like you were my own child. You've been there with me these past 18 years while your dad hasn't even attempted to call me even once since he left you with me. I don't want my remaining things to go to someone who's so selfish. Well, Whatever you choose to do, I'll support you. I just want you here, and that's more than enough. I was still reeling in from the fact that Grandmother, my only family, almost died. If I had been even a minute late, I would not have been able to see her alive. I felt hollow for a long time after that. The only thing that kept me alive and a little alert was the fact that even when she was close to death, my grandmother still only cared for me and my well-being. Grandma got discharged from the hospital about a week later, and as soon as she was out, she contacted her lawyer. I was tasked with driving her around as she made some final amends to her will and also got other documentation in order so I could have a smooth time after she was gone. Of course, there was this huge air of sadness during this time, but it still warmed my heart to see Grandma work so hard for me, even when I was old enough to take care of myself. The 2 years after that, Grandma's health rapidly deteriorated. Towards the end of her life, she slipped into a coma. I was an inconsolable mess. I wanted nothing more than for her to wake up and console me, but that would not be possible. Since she was my dad's mom, I figured that he'd at least want to see her before she died. I couldn't reach their numbers, but I happened to find their email IDs, so I sent them an email telling them about Grandma's nearing end, and I never got a response from them even after her death. After Grandma's death, I was a mess. I spiraled into depression because it finally settled in me just how lonely I really was. I had no family and barely a few friends. My grandma was all I had. My anger and resentment towards my parents only grew larger at this time because I blamed them for putting the stress of taking care of me on her. Maybe if she didn't have to take care of me for so long, she'd have lived longer. I eventually managed to get myself out of that spiral and went back to living as normally as I could. And just when things were starting to get better, a whole year after Grandma passed away, I was visited by my parents. "Veronica, you look so good." Hello? "Do you recognize us?" "Not really." "Of course, it's been a very long time since we last saw each other. I'm your mother, Cheryl." "And I'm your father, Cliff." "Oh, hi. What brought you guys here?" "We only just heard about Ria's passing away. We came by to offer our condolences." "Right. You're 1 year too late for that." "Oh, I know that you have every right to be mad at us, but could you cut us some slack? We only just found out about it." "I literally emailed both of you about it, and you never got back." "To be fair, we had a lot on our plate at that time, and checking our emails was the last of our concerns." "Great. Well, if you're done offering your condolences, you can leave." "No, wait. We understand that you inherited everything that Ria got." "Including her house?" "If you're here to contest the will by any means, I want you to know that Grandma's will specifies that you won't be getting anything from her." "No, we don't want any of that. We understand that we messed up big time and you should rightfully get what she left you. We just had another request to make of you." "Frankly, I don't care. I don't think I should even be listening to you right now. Just please give us 2 minutes." "Fine. What is it?" "Well, Cheryl and I ended up moving into an apartment after our kids left the home for college. Turns out I miscalculated our finances for years, and now we have no money at all." "I know we could get jobs, but we only just retired because we have been constantly working for 20+ years. I think we deserve a break, isn't it?" "Well, if you don't have the money to survive, you will need to work. You can't afford a break." "Yes, but now we got evicted from our apartment for not having paid rent for the past 2 months, and we were wondering if we could move in with you for a while." "Why won't your other children help?" "Oh, they're all way too busy with their own lives, plus they have their own kids to handle now." "So let me get this straight. The kids you valued over me abandoned you in your time of need?" My, the irony is hilarious." "There's no need to be such a jerk about it. Just give us an answer, yes or no." Honestly, I would love to, but I think you'd be too much of a burden to look after, so hard pass. Are you quoting us? How dare you talk to your parents this way? You stopped being my parents the second you gave me up to Grandma. She was the one who raised me and took care of me. You have no right to behave like my parents now. We have every right to be that way. Great, and I have every right to slam the door in your face right now. Goodbye. I was honestly astounded that my parents even dared to show up in that manner. Part of me did feel bad for being a tad bit disrespectful towards them, but then I remembered what they did to me. No parent should ever do that to their child. Just because they didn't sign away their parental rights didn't mean that they were still my parents. Besides, if they actually cared about me, they would not have come to me only because I was some sort of last resort to them. The first thing they ever did when they saw me for the first time in 20 years was to demand that I let them live with them. And tell me that I was being disrespectful? Grandma was right. They were every bit the selfish monsters she painted them out to be. I was glad that they had no other way to contact me. I didn't really care to find out what happened to them either. Although they did contact me via Facebook to tell me that they were in the streets, living out of their car because they had nowhere else to go, I blocked them immediately because I did not want to be tempted in any way to help them out when they barely batted an eye after leaving me with Grandma. I had absolutely no obligation to help them out no matter how better off I was. As for now, I put myself through therapy while attending college. Thankfully, Grandma started planning for my future after I dropped off, and she carefully invested in all the right places, and that allowed me to gather all the finances I needed for the next few years. Also, me being the sole recipient of her inheritance meant there was more for me to have. I'm slowly getting better, and I'm still processing everything that happened in the past year and a half. I'm sure that things are only going to get better from here on because my grandma ensured that much for me. I really do miss her, and I'm sure that she'd be proud of me for the way I've been standing up for myself. I have no choice but to make the most of this new life that I've been given. Thank you for listening.